Hiya, welcome back. What am I going to do today? Well, today I'm going to try and test in the most scientifically and accurate way possible different oils. You know, in a like I say, really exciting stuff. Get your seatbelt on for this one. That's the main thing I want to do. I'm going to do a couple of other bits as well. One of them being, last video I fitted a subwoofer, which only comes on with the radio, and I've sussed out what the problem is with that. So I'm gonna do a fix with that as well, and a couple of other bits and bobs. But main thing is well, this is the oil that I've currently got in this car, C3 grade 530s, which seems to be the general consensus of the right stuff to use. But after doing minutes of research online, I found this manual which shows that there are other oils available, one of them being 1040s. So I've got the 530s in it already. I mean, to be honest with you, I bought them. They were about £7.50 each, something from Asda's. They're on offer, so I just bought them for the sake of buying them. So this is what I'm stuck with. So like I said, the oil that's in it now is 530s, the same as that which I put in last time. And what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and get what it sounds like from a cold start and when it's warmed up. And as Anton 11 explains in this video pictured, these engines are pretty prone to a bit of piston slap. And I'm going to try and get that as well. I don't think I'll be able to, because well, they do it worse when it's really cold, and it's not really cold. It's summer here, and you know we're in sunny northwest of England here, tropical climate and what have you. So it's not actually that cold, and I don't think I'm going to be able to pick up the piston slap that well. But I'm going to try anyway. So as you can hear, that makes engine noises, and that is the coolant temperature now. It's gone up a little bit, but it's not up to temperature. Anyway, let's go and see if we can hear some of that piston slap. So that is what it sounds like with the 530s in it. And like I said, I'm going to put the 1040s in it. Also, new filter, because, well, they're about £3.50 or something. And I actually went for the posh one here. I went for the man filter because, well, only the best. And I'm going to put a couple of these in, which I did in a previous video as well, these engine flushes. So, let's put them in first. Took the lids off from you, see. I preempted that I was going to be struggling taking the lids off with the seal inside whilst using one hand and what have you. So I took the lid off in preparation. Like a professional YouTuber, you'd expect nothing else, wouldn't you? So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to change the oil. I'm going to try and make some sound comparisons. Now, I'm not going to make any comparisons on is it any faster or is it any better on fuel or any of that sort of stuff. Because let's face it, it's not going to be noticeable. It's going to be negligible, if anything. I just want to see if it sounds any less tappy at all. A couple of the bits that I'm going to do is I'm going to clean the PCV and the map sensor, which is down under there, which I need to take all this off to get to, really. I mean, Dab DIY has actually done a really good video on that. So if you want to see how to do that properly, just watch that one instead of this one. Well, as with anything, if you want to see how to do something properly, stay away from this channel, really. So for now, let's get this warmed up. On about 9 keys. Make sure out of gear. And we'll start it. rapid warm-up procedure. Get off. And then when it's warmed up, we shall drop the oil in stir, change the filter, 40mm. I'm not going to show so much how to do the oil because I've shown that in a couple of videos already. But this is what we're putting in, as I've said, for the 9th time. I'll show it. Anyway, let's leave that to warm up. And then I'll do that. Oh yeah, a couple other bits that I'm going to do. As I mentioned, I'm not going to do this right now, but it'll be in this video. The sub, I've sussed out why that doesn't work. It's something really obvious actually. Schoolboy error, but why it doesn't work apart from when the radio's on. So I'm going to rectify that and oh yeah, clean them bits, PCV and the map sensor out. But for now, let's just leave the shitter warming up for a couple of minutes until we're flushing. Right, we are up to temperature. Well, we've been up to temperature for a while actually. So let's drop the oil. And I didn't mention this, but these different grades of oil and what have you. This car does have a VVT system, which could be affected by it, but I'm assuming it won't be because it's on the list of oils that is okay. Don't have to worry about hydraulic tappets though, because these are shimmed tappets like any high performance engine, what you'd expect. Anyway, let's crack on and drop the oil out the shitter. Let's take this off to let more air in so it comes out into more rapid, spontaneous action. Get underneath. Got a 14mm spaniel. I said I wasn't really going to show this because, well, I've shown it loads of times already. At least twice. Maybe 3 times. Which dick did that? That's really tight. Right, I'm just going to drop the oil out of it and take the filter off it. And I'll come back when I've done that. Oh yeah! I had to get some grips on oil filter because some fucking dudes put the oil filter on really tight. Just a bit of rust prevention getting splashed about. Let's put a nice new man filter on. Always lubricate the seal with a bit of oil. I'm doing this by feel because I can't just see what I'm doing. Somewhere around there. There we go, got it. And then just hand tighten it as much as you can, pretty much. And nip the sub plug back up. Oil drain's in the way, which I should have moved out the way, but I haven't done really. That'll do. Let's see what the oil looks like. It's dirtier than expected actually. It's not been in that long, it's only done a few thousand miles that, maybe about 2,000 or 3,000 at tops. All full of dead flies and everything. Right, let's put some of the 1040s in it. Now it's time to put a new oil in. Carefully installing the new oil, put the oil cap on. Now I haven't measured it yet, but I've put enough in to run it. So I need to run it and then check the level. Right, so we're accurately up to level. And if you get a 4 litre container like this, it's the perfect amount to put about 3 and a bit litres in the engine and about 3/4 of a litre on the engine. And then it'll be up to about the correct sort of level. Anyway, what I need to do now is I need to wait for it to cool down, which will be tomorrow morning, or well, in a few seconds, and see what it sounds like from cold. So that's the next part of this journey. And that is what the 1040 sounds like, cold and warm. Driving wise, like I've expected, there is just no difference. But to be honest, to my ear, it does sound like it's a little bit more tappy when it's warm on the 1040s, which I'm surprised about, to be honest with you. But it does. But I'm going to run the footage one after the other, 530s versus 1040s each clip, and make your own comparison. And then I'm going to clean that PCV out and the map sensor. And earlier on, for those who watched the last video I did, which isn't very many, probably about 3 people I think, I mentioned that I put the sub in the boot and it would only work on radio, and there is an obvious reason for that, which I will demonstrate now. So I'll put me put some bangers on. We've got bangers, but no sub. If we make our way to the back of the vehicle where the sub is actually placed, we'll see that, well, this is our remote wire and this is our power wire, but yes. And now, although it's not turned up, we have subbage. And the reason for that is very obvious and simple. Effectively, the wire that I have used to power the sub, which is the one that you usually use, the blue wire, originally on most stereos, that's actually power. It's actually an output to power an electric aerial or an aerial amplifier. That's why it'll say antenna on it. But on most stereos it comes on constantly as soon as the stereo's on. However, this one, when you've not got the radio on, turns the aerial off. So I'll have to find a different way of powering the sub, which I know what I'm going to do, but I better take this shit back off again, and then I will show you. So this is the wire that we put in, which is wired as normal to our, well, it was, just pulled it off. Pretty good that. Anyway, as normal, wired to our antennae out. But that's no good, because then it only works when the fucking radio's on. So I can listen to Nick Grimshaw's deep voice through its sub, but I can't listen to any pumping tunes. So what I'm going to do is, it's time for yet another switch. Yes, red one this time. And I'm going to find out either the red or the yellow of them two will be an ignition. The yellow one, because I've used it for something else already, haven't I can't remember, I'll double check. But either the red or the yellow on there, I'm pretty sure it's a yellow one, will be an ignition positive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the ignition positive and a switch. So it won't come on, I can't leave the amp on, but I can also turn it off. And that could be useful anyway, because for instance, well, I'll take my son in this car and he's not as cool as I am, so he doesn't like them sick bass drops as much. So let's just, let's crack to it. I need to drill an hole and I need to use a meter and just make sure which one of these comes on with the ignition, so it can't be left turned on without the ignition. And I'm just going to wire that in. I'm not really going to show it because it doesn't really warrant it. I mean, you've seen me wire switches in before, you've seen me join wires. Well, unless you're brand new to the channel, if you're not, go and look at my other videos. There's plenty of shit videos on here. Anyway, like I said, I'm just going to do it. So I'm going to crack on with that shit. Yes. So now, as you can see, we have a switch wired in. And like I said, one side of the switch goes to ignition, positive feed, and the other side goes straight out to the amp. So when I put it all back together, I'll show how it works. It's nice and simple. So it works something like this. So I play some tunes off my phone. Yeah. So as you can see, or as you can hopefully see, as long as YouTube doesn't delete the music and say there's copyright infringement on it or something, which I'm hoping it doesn't do, because I did select, well, supposedly copyright-free music to do the demonstration. But when I have it on Bluetooth, now it does work. So, and I can turn it off and on as I please, which is better, really. Anyway, let's get back to whatever I was doing before I started fucking about with this, which was cleaning the map sensor and the PCV out, which are, well, we'll need some tools, but I'll take off what I can without tools for now. Look at them nice Yaris injectors there. Right, the PCV is well, the PCV is there. The map sensor is there. Can you see that? So behind the throttle body, directly behind it, and that's your map sensor. Need a couple of, well, 10 millis by the look of it, so I need a ratchet to take that off. And this just pulls out. Let's get some tools. Right, so our map sensor, which we're going to do first. Look at the throttle body, which is already nice and clean from a previous video when I tested the seafoam alternative. Right, hold on. Let's get where I hold the phone, I'm not covering the lens up. Right, there's this plug here. Now if you notice, it's actually a bit clean, it's got marks on it, and that's because I tried to do this a minute ago and it was really stuck, so I had to free the plug off. Otherwise I would have been struggling with it for ages while you're watching, which was really boring. But that tab, you need to push that down and then pull the plug, but don't pull it with the wires because you end up pulling them out and then you're fucked. You end up having to join and put a new, whatever, we end up having to fix it. So just be careful not to do that. Like I said, pull that tab down, but mine was stuck on very tight. Anyway, 10 millis. I think they're 10 millis, I've not tried them. Look like 10 millis. Yeah, 10 millis. We undo them. There's one on the other side. And you just use your imagination here. Undo them both all the way out. There's one. And two. And then the sensor should just pull out like that. And as you can see, well, we have one temperature sensor and map sensor all in one. So I'm going to give that a little clean out. And to do that, I'm just going to give it a bath in brake cleaner, because obviously that's brake. You can see there's a bit of shit coming out of it. Yeah. Just got it in my eye, not even joking. Anyway. Clean the bits up that's tricky as well. That's more important than actually fixing the thing itself, isn't it? Clean it out there. And that is actually come out pretty good. I don't know if you could see before, but it had some lumps of shit in there. But now it doesn't. So that's, well, I'm assuming that's better. Unless the lumps of shit that were in it are bits that make it work. But anyway, let it dry off and I'll put it back in car. Right, so that's our map sensor, and it is now clean and dry. And map sensor, what these have is a map sensor instead of a mass sensor. And a mass sensor is a mass airflow meter, and instead of that, these are a map sensor, which is a manifold absolute pressure. So effectively, this reads air pressure and temperature as well. But the air pressure is the map part, and then it knows the size of the inlet manifold, the volume of it, and effectively if you know the pressure and the size of something, you can look at how much air is there, and you look at how much air is going to make it into the engine and how much fuel to put into the engine. So putting it back in is, as you'd sort of guess, educatedly guess, it's the reversal of taking it out. So let's tighten them up and plug it back in, and then let's do our PCV. Like so. You don't want to go too tight with these because they are just into plastic, like self-tapping style, self-tapper style, Gam style. And then plug it back in there, and then that's that bit done. Right, and that leads us to our PCV valve, which is there. And I need to disconnect this pipe from it. Now there is the throttle cable's sort of in the way, but I'm sure we can look around that. And pull that off there, and now it's that white thing which needs gently pulling out. Try and film it and do it at the same time without the aid of any sort of tripod or anything. I'm filming the wrong thing, aren't I? There we go. Right, and as you can see, that's not what we want to see. So let's go and clean that shitter as well. Now, although that looks like that, and it's probably the last thing that you want to put in your mouth, I've done it anyway, and it does actually work. Listen, so you blow and suck on it. Sounds good. One way it works and one way it doesn't. So let's try and do this. And it does actually work. It's just like a one-way valve. And what that does is it's positive, well, PCV, positive crankcase ventilation, and the inlet manifold, well, it's for getting rid of oil vapours, but it closes unless there's positive crankcase pressure. So anyway, let's clean this shitter out. And for that, instead of brake cleaner, I'm going to use something that is more hardcore. I'll use some carburetor cleaner, which is like brake cleaner, but it's stronger, more powerful, more sensual. It's quite dirty, this, actually. Yeah, it's pretty bad, that. Anyway, you can see what I'm doing. I'm just cleaning this out. It's like I said, it's just a little one-way valve. Nothing too fancy, but let's fill it up with yeah. Right, you don't need to watch me do this, so I'll just show what you've done. And then when you finish fucking about with it for a bit and, well, getting fed up of manually cleaning it, lose patience and just stick it in a drill. This might be a bad idea. And there you have it. Nice, it's focused. Nice and clean. Now, as for does it work any better, it doesn't seem any different, to be honest with you. It seems to be working before, but at least now it's nice and clean. So let's put it back in, which it just pushes back in, the same way it pulled out. You might have to wiggle it in and be a bit. Basically, it's going into like a rubber grommet on the other side of that, and that is like so. And then we just put a pipe back on, and that is the PCV power clamp. There we go. That's PCV and the map sensor. Throw the airbox back on. And make sure it still runs. Yes! And as you can see, it's running beautifully. There's nothing wrong with it before, but it's still running beautifully. We have our, like I said, map sensor, PCV, just to give them a bit of a clean. Whether it's had any effect, it's more preventative than anything else. You know, it's more preventative maintenance this than actually fixing stuff, unless you've already got an issue. Anyway, as for the oils, the engine doesn't sound as quiet on the 1040s, which, as I said before, that's not just when I was recording it for the video. In real life, it just sounds a little bit more ticky on the 1040s, which, like I said, I was surprised about, because 1040s is thicker. It's thicker at low temperature and at high temperature, and generally a thicker oil has a better film strength, but not always. Anyway, that's all for this week. That's all for this video. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, whatever else. Check us out on Instagrams, and see you next time. Peace out.